Hello there, welcome to Standard Voice Television News. I am Foze Ibrahim. Here are your top stories for today. Zamfara State secures 1 billion TED fund intervention for state-owned universities. President Buhari tells service chiefs their best was not good enough. Nigeria record highest single-day COVID-19 infections. On business, the Naira had exchange at 361 to $1 on Wednesday as demand pressures intensified. And on the international scene, who declares Nigeria polio-free? Now the news in details. The Zamfara State government says it has secured 1 billion intervention fund for the tertiary education TED fund for the state-owned university at Talata Mafara. The special advisor to Governor Bello Matawalle on media, communication and public enlightenment, Zelani Baffa, made the disclosure to journalists in Gusau on Thursday. Mr. Baffa was responding to questions on the achievement recorded in the state by the Matawalle administration in 1 year in office. He noted that the People's Democratic Party PDP-led administration inherited an uncompleted state university project in Talata Mafara. Considering the importance in continuity in the governance, Governor Bello Matawalle decided to continue with the project. Apart from securing the TED fund intervention, the governor appointed management of the university and took other measures to have the solid foundation of the institution. Part of the present administration's achievements in the education sector also included sponsoring 200 indigents to study medicine, paramedicals and science courses in China, India and Sudan. He said the state government also constructed 600 new classrooms across the state and was renovating 300 others in various primary schools. Mr. Baffa added that furniture as well as other teaching and learning materials were provided to all the newly constructed classes and renovated ones across the state. Northern governors met to take measures to tackle insecurity in region. The teleconference, which was presided over the chairman of the forum and Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong, held against the backdrop of recent attack in communities in northern states by Boko Haram and bandits, among other criminals. During the meeting, the governor was concerned about the level of insecurity in the region and took some measures to address the situation. Among other resolutions, they agreed to set up a standing committee on security in the north for foster synergy with security agencies in the enforcement of security measures in the region. Kogi State Governor Alhaji Yahaya Bello was named as the committee chairman with the governors of Zamfara and Gombe, Bello Matawalle and Muhammad Yahaya as members. Another committee, headed by Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong, with the governors of Adamawa, Niger and Sokoto states, Ahmadu Fintiri, Abubakar Bello and Aminu Tambuwal as members, was set up on the consultation with traditional, religious and community leaders in the north. According to a statement by the spokesman of Governor Lalong, who is also the forum's chairman, Mr. Makut Macham, the consultative committee would ensure that there is wider improvement in tackling insecurity in north. The governor also resolved to engage local vigilantes, hunters and community watch groups in the security architecture of the region to enhance intelligence gathering, rapid response and sustained surveillance. They therefore called on the federal government to closely look into the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of persons. Regarding the cross-border movement of herders from other countries into Nigeria, particularly in north, while commending the security forces of their efforts in tackling insecurity in the region, the governors called for increased synergy to enhance operations and assist in putting an end to the activities of bandits, insurgents, kidnappers, and other criminals. They also agreed to adapt dialogue when necessary while pursuing military measures in dealing with the various security challenges in the north. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday thumbed down for head of security agencies in the country, bemoaning their abysmal performance. He, however, warned the head of security agencies against allowing further descent of the nation's security, saying he will no longer accept escalation of the security situation in the country. Disclosing this to the State House correspondent after a security briefing between the president and head of security agency, the National Security Advisor (NSA) Major General Babangida Mungono, retired, said the president had charged managers of the nation's security to redouble their efforts. The NSA was accompanied by the Director of Defense Intelligence (DDA), AVM Muhammad Sani Usman, and the Director General of the Department of State Service (DSS), Alhaji Yusuf Magaji Bichi. According to Mungono, the president said, though the security chiefs had been doing their best, it had not been good enough for the challenges facing the nation. He declared that excuses will no longer be tolerated, asking everyone to justify their appointment into the position of leadership in the nation's security architecture. He said further, the president expressed serious concern over proliferation of small arms, light weapons and abuse of illicit drugs, which he said had impacted the security situation in the regions gravely. He also expressed displeasure over the lack of synergy among security forces and charged the various aspects of the security architecture to work together to solve nation's security challenges. The People Democratic Party (PDP) has postponed its primary election for the forthcoming governorship poll in Edo State. PDP National Publicity Secretary Kola Logbandiyan announced this in a statement on Thursday. According to him, the National Working Committee (NWC) of the PDP took the decision to postpone the exercise based on the exigency of party's activities. Mr. Kola revealed that the primary election, earlier scheduled for Friday and Saturday, has now been shifted to Tuesday next week, June 23rd. He urged all governorship aspirants, critical stakeholders, party faithful, and PDP supporters in Edo State to take note of the new date of the exercise. The PDP spokesman gave an assurance that the party would conduct its activities in the line with the COVID-19 guidelines of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC). Nigeria on Thursday recorded its highest single-day COVID-19 infections with 745 new cases. It was revealed in the late-night post-tweet by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC). According to the NCDC, Lagos State had the highest number of infections for the day, with 280 cases, and is followed by Oyo and Ebonyi states with 103 and 73 cases respectively. The health agency said other states with infections for the day include FCT 60, Imo 46, Edo 34, Delta 33, Rivers 25, Kaduna 23, Ondo 16, Katsina 12, Kano 10, Bauchi 8, and Borno 7. Others are Kwara 5, Gombe 4, Sokoto and Enugu states 2 each, Yobe, Osun and Nasarawa states 1 each. A further breakdown of the figures showed that the West African country has now 18,480 cases of the virus with 6,307 persons discharged. Of the numbers of recorded cases, 475 people have been dead, according to the data from the NCDC. A spokesman of former Oyo State Governor Senator Abiola Ajimobi on Thursday asked the public to disregard rumors circulating on social media about Ajimobi's death. Social media was abuzed with rumors about Ajimobi's death late Thursday, but Special Advisor to Ajimobi on Communications and Strategy, Bolaji Tunje, dismissed the rumor in a statement obtained by Channels Television. He, however, called on the people to continue to pray for Ajimobi and thanked the people for their show of concern. Ajimobi is reportedly battling COVID-19. On Tuesday, he was announced as acting national chairman of the All Progressive Congress (APC) after the Court of Appeal upheld the suspension of Adams Oshomole. The Minister of Health, Dr. Ehanire, has explained how Nigeria can reduce the death rate as a result of coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Addressing reporters on Thursday in Abuja, he urged Nigerians to see the increase in the numbers of confirmed cases as a warning that fatalities would be increased too. Dr. Ehani Ray, who spoke at the daily briefing on the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, however, said there was no cause for alarm as certain measures could be taken to control the death toll. He noted that the majority of fatalities recorded were over 50 years and those with pre-existing ailments such as diabetes, cancer and hypertension, among others. The minister urged the people to specially protect those who fall in such groups, adding that they should be encouraged to stay at home to limit them from getting exposed to COVID-19. On business, Samira Ibrahim has more details.
Hello, I'm Samira Ibrahim with the business update. The pressure on the Naira was heightened after news of federal government's plan to adopt flexible exchange rate broke. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) had consistently advised the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to adopt the flexible exchange rate regime to stop inflation rise. The inflation rate, which rose to 12.4% year-on-year in May, continued to rise in recent months as the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic reflected on the economy. The May inflation rate was 0.06% points higher than the rate recorded in April 2020 at 12.34%. On month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 1.17% in May 2020. This is 0.15% rate higher than the rate recorded in April 2020 at 1.0%. This was despite the sustained upward pressure on consumer prices as headline inflation rose 1.2% month-on-month from 1%, the highest since June 2018. Notable core inflation rose faster by 14 basic points to 10.1% year-on-year from 10% in April 2020, the highest since July 2018. However, core inflation increased 5 basic points slower at 0.9% on a month-on-month basis, the first moderation since February 2020. Meanwhile, food inflation was little changed at 15.04% year-on-year from 15.03% in the previous month. And that's all we have on Business Desk today. I'm Samira Ibrahim. Thanks for watching.
And on the international scene, the World Health Organization, WHO, has declared Nigeria free from wild polio, following the completion of documents for the free status. The UN Health Agency disclosed this on its regional office for Africa in Brazzaville, Congo, official Twitter account. Today, Nigeria's complete documentation for wild polio virus-free status was accepted by the African Regional Certificate Commission for Polio Eradication, ARCC. It is a historic day for Nigeria, Africa and the global polio program. Meanwhile, Dr. Faisal Shuaibu, Executive Director and CEO of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA, in a tweet described the documentation as historical. Amazing moment in history to have had our polio eradication documentation accepted by ARCC in Nigeria's team led by NPHCDN and partners demonstrated evidence for our polio-free status. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Friday said English schools would receive €1 billion, $1.2 billion, €1.1 billion in funding to help pupils catch up after missing months of classes due to the coronavirus. The financial boost comes as the government faces withering criticism over its broken pledge to have all primary school children back for a month before the summer holidays. It is also struggling to get all pupils back for the new academic year in September if social distancing rule requiring people to keep 2 meters apart remain in force. The new money includes €650 million for state-run primary and secondary school to lift educational outcomes and €650 million for a tutoring scheme specifically for the most disadvantaged youngsters. Head teachers will be able to decide how to spend the 650 million euros, but the government said it expects it to be spent on evidence-based interventions, in particular small group situations. This €1 billion catch-up package will help head teachers to provide extra support to children who have fallen behind while out of school. British schools have been closed to most people since late March, when the country headed into lockdown as the virus spread out of control. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Zamfara State secures 1 billion TED fund intervention for state-owned universities. President Buhari tells service chiefs their best was not good enough. Nigeria record highest single-day COVID-19 infections. On business, the Naira had exchanged at 361 to $1 on Wednesday as demand pressures intensified. And on the international scene, who declares Nigeria polio-free? That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Ibrahim Galbatino, I am Foze Ibrahim. Have a nice day.